Oh boy, I'm gonna get a lot of controversy for this. Hello, I'm Harry Fleet TV. Remember, you don't have to. And I love films. I love watching them with a good cup of tea. And I just love relaxing on Netflix and watching a good film after the end of the day. Now, there are some films that I love that people love, but there are also films that I love that people may not enjoy so much. So, this is my top 10 films that I love that people hate. Number 10. Tall Girl. Tall Girl follows a girl named Jodie who has a condition that makes her really tall, and I mean taller than most people. A lot of people really hate this film, and I don't know why. I genuinely really enjoyed it. It has a good message, which is always be comfortable in your own skin, and I love the film for that. And personally, my only problems with it are the way they made Jodie look and the way the family was written. I think they made Jodie look way too attractive, and I think they should have made her physically flawed. Like, give her a big nose, give her glasses, give her freckles. Like, you could still make her a blonde, just make her less attractive. My other issue is the way the family was written. I think they should have made it where the family exploits Jodie's height, like they exploit her for their own self-gain. That would have really made us sympathize with her even more without it being too in your face. They wouldn't have had to make the family overly abusive to the point where it was just in your face. They could have just made it where the family used Jodie for their own gain. But I guess that wouldn't have made sense for the message. Overall, or maybe it would. Overall though, this is a great film and I highly recommend it. They even brought out a sequel, which I'll get to later. But if you want a good Netflix film, or if you're feeling down about your self-esteem, put this film on. It'll really put a smile on your face. Coming in at number 9, The Babysitter Killer Queen. After the success of the first Babysitter film, it only seemed right to make a sequel. The first film managed to capture the tone of both funny and scary, and that's what I really loved about it. The second one dials down on the horror, however, and focuses more on the comedic aspect. This film takes place 2 years after the first one, and Cole has PTSD from his experience with the bad babysitter. He tries to get his life back to semi-normal, and he thinks going on a trip with his girlfriend Melanie will do him good. But while he's on his trip with his girlfriend, his life changes once again for the worst. Being friends, Max, John, Allison, and Sonia once again return for this film, and they have great chemistry together. The film manages to once again mix horror tone with its comedy, but seems to overshadow the horror with its comedy for this film, and surprisingly it doesn't bother me all that much. This film is fun, wacky, adventurous, and sometimes even emotional. I thought the twist with Melanie turning out to be evil was just a little bit forced, but overall I genuinely really enjoyed this film. And there's a twist with Bea at the end of this film that I heavily enjoyed. So it turns out Bea set up the whole cult just so that she could destroy the demons and save Cole and Phoebe. And I really like that. I know a lot of people really hate the twist with Bea redeeming herself and turning good, but personally, I really enjoyed it. And there are moments in the first film that show that Bea genuinely did care about Cole and she wasn't 100% evil. So yeah, if you want a good laugh and a good time, The Babysitter Killer Queen is a film just for you, and is now available on Netflix. Number 8. Bride of Chucky. In this installment in the Chucky franchise, Chucky is rescued by his ex Tiffany Ray, who fixes him and tries to bring him back to life. She succeeds, but things take a wild turn when Chucky transfers her soul into the body of another doll, and they have to go on a journey to find the heart of Gambala so they can get their human bodies back. Now, I love this film because it manages to balance horror with comedy and adventure, and that makes for a really good film in my opinion. And Tiffany's character, although being a villain, you really root for her, and even feel sorry for her when she's in this relationship with Chucky, who'd never even loved her in the first place. Chucky and Tiffany bounce off of each other really well, and not only that, the characters of the newlyweds in this film are really likeable, and you really root for them when Chucky and Tiffany force them to take them to the cemetery. I've heard people hate on this film for taking Chucky in a whole new direction and having him be no longer scary, but honestly, was he ever scary? Sure, he had a scary moment from the first and second film, but honestly, I think he's only scary to little kids. I think to a fully grown adult, Chucky is pretty much the Stewie Griffin of horror. Overall though, this is a great film, and at least they still portray Chucky as a villain. Unlike some villain-centric films I've watched. Intent. Coming in at lucky number 7. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Say what you will about this film, but I absolutely love it. Sure, it has its problems, and I mean they are really big problems, but I still really enjoyed this film. I love this take on Peter Parker and his inner conflict of whether he should stay with Gwen Stacy or whether he should fully break up with her. Despite all of its flaws, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 manages to pack a really good story underneath all the grime and grit. Despite all the problems this film has, there are some things I genuinely enjoyed about it. I love the conflict Peter has about whether he should stay with Gwen or not. I love the chemistry between Peter and Gwen, no surprise there. And I love the way they handle Gwen Stacy's death by the end of the film, even if they killed her off too soon. The way I see it, Gwen Stacy's death was Peter's consequence for breaking his promise to Captain Stacy in the end of the first film, and that's what I really like about the ending of this film. People seem to forget that this version of Peter Parker is selfish, and he pays the price for it. Despite all the problems this film has, it's still a great watch. And to be honest, underneath all the forced plot lines and forced build-up, underneath it all is a genuinely good story. Coming in at number 6, we have Morbius. Oh yeah. Sony's biggest joke, the worst movie of 2022. Honestly, I don't think it's that bad. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I don't even think it's the worst movie I've ever seen. Yes, this film has a lot of problems, but personally, I think it's alright. I think underneath all the crappy editing and false hype, there is genuinely a good story. Maybe not as good as some of the other films on this list, but it's still a fun watch. Personally, I think Morbius is the Tall Girl of the Sonyverse. They're both good films, but they have the same problem. Where Tall Girl has the problem of the main character looking too pretty, this film has the problem of the main character being too heroic. This is supposed to be a villain story, and they made the quote-unquote evil bad guy of this film, who is a vampire, need I mention, not even that evil. Not even close. And yet, despite all of that, I genuinely really enjoyed this movie. I think there's a good story underneath all the false hype and bad editing, and honestly, if you put aside all the false hype and fake Easter eggs that the trailer had, this is a good film. If you put aside everything, I think you'll really enjoy this film, or maybe you won't, I don't know you personally, but if you only went to see this film for the Easter eggs that the trailer got us hyped for, you're gonna be disappointed. Though personally, I couldn't care less about the Easter egg, and I genuinely really like this film. And to be honest, I'll take any vampire story over Twilight any day. Coming in at number 5, we have Cruella. Despite what people say, I genuinely really enjoyed this film, and I think it's a great prequel for such an iconic Disney villain. Cruella follows the story of Estella and her journey in the fashion industry, while also working with the Baroness. A lot of people hate this film for portraying Cruella de Vil as some kind of anti-hero, but honestly, this is only the beginning. Cruella has been announced to get a sequel, and I couldn't be more excited. Don't forget that this is only her origin story. This is the story of a downward spiral, and it's only the beginning. Sure, it might not be as successfully told as Joker, but honestly, it's still a great watch if you're into villain origin films. And what I really love about this film is how they wrote Cruella's henchmen, Jasper and Horace. They turned these two characters from just being the comedic goons that were hired to steal the puppies to actual sympathetic characters with depth. You really feel sorry for them when Cruella goes through this downward spiral and she starts treating them like crap. I've seen people on the internet compare this film to Joker, and I don't know why. Personally, I think they're both great, and if you want a good villain origin story, then this is a great watch. At number 4, we have Tall Girl 2. Jodie's back, and she's gotten together with Dunkelman. In this film, Jodie is starring in a play, and she's nervous to perform in front of loads of people, which is already relatable. What I really like about this film is, once again, the message is perfect. The message in this film is to get over your nerves and go with your gut. What I really like about this film is that it has a good message about not letting our fears get the best of us when we're performing. And as a college student studying in performing arts, this is really relatable. Now, there are some problems I have with this film, like the plot with Jodie kissing this random guy, which I thought was really unnecessary, and then Skig coming back, which I thought was really unnecessary, because his story kind of ended in the first film, and Jodie kind of cut ties with him. I don't think we needed to see him again. But overall, this is a really good film, and I think it might even be better than the first one. Maybe not as good, but it's certainly better. Despite the nitpicky problems I have with this film, I think it's still a great sequel, and in all honesty, I'd be more than welcome for a third installment. Coming in at number 3, we have The Amazing Spider-Man 1. I don't get why people hate these movies. I genuinely really love them. I won't go into a deep dive of how I think Andrew Garfield is the best Peter Parker, or why he's my favourite Peter Parker, because Project Bean Studios already made a great video on it, and you should totally check it out. But honestly, I think this is a well-written origin story, and I think it's a great start in what could have been the best Spider-Man franchise Sony has ever made. It's really sad to see how good this film is, because if Sony hadn't intervened and taken control of the franchise, we could have had a really great, heartwarming series, and the director could have allowed his passion project to unfold. Like, if Sony hadn't gotten involved with these films, we could have had a great series. The Amazing Spider-Man 3 could have happened, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 probably wouldn't have been as messy. Honestly, I love how these characters are so developed. I love how Peter goes from a selfish punk teenager to the Spider-Man we all know and love. And I love the characterizations of Uncle Ben, Captain Stacy, and Gwen Stacy in this film. The ending, I think, is also great, with Captain Stacy's final wish being for Peter to stay away from Gwen. And this film has an incredibly underrated soundtrack made by James Horner, who sadly passed away in 2015. Honestly, if you love Spider-Man, this film is a really good watch, and I highly, highly recommend it. In at number 2, we have the BFG 2016. Though not being as good as the 1989 animated film or the original book by Roald Dahl, this film manages to capture the heart and the magic of Steven Spielberg's films. Although the giants may be terribly written in this film, that doesn't stop me from enjoying it any less. The BFG is played beautifully by Mark Rylance, and the girl playing Sophie does a pretty good job at playing a curious girl who's just been pulled into this world of magic and giants. The scene in the film where it's revealed the BFG had a boy with him who he'd also kidnapped, but the other giants had eaten him, and it's so criminally underrated how well the scene is done. You can see the pain in the BFG's eyes, and the reason I really love this scene is because you can see that the BFG isn't just a jumbly giant, he has human emotions too, and I think the scene was criminally underutilized. Honestly though, this film is really enjoyable, and Steven Spielberg does a really good job at directing it. So if you want an adaptation of this story with heart, emotion, and magic, Steven Spielberg's The BFG is the film for you. And coming up at number 1 we have Spider-Man 3. Do it. Come at me, haters. Spider-Man 3 is my all-time favourite Spider-Man film. Not only is the film good, but you can tell that despite everything Sony has put Sam Raimi through, despite all the toy merchandising and all the characters that have been forced into this film, Sam Raimi put his heart and soul into making this final chapter in the Spider-Man trilogy. What I really love about this film is the dark tone and the way Peter's arc is handled. I love how he goes from being this overly confident, egotistical hero to this vengeful vigilante going through this downward spiral thanks to the black suit consuming him. I love Venom in this film. Say what you want about Topher Grace, but he does a great job at portraying this whiny, selfish, snobby brat who wants everything and takes the easy way out, unlike Peter. This Venom is the opposite of Peter Parker. He's everything that Peter Parker was consumed by with the black suit, and I love that about this version of Venom. And honestly, I prefer this take on Venom than the Tom Hardy version in the Sonyverse. I love the Harry Osborn arc in this film, and how everything that had been building up in the previous 2 films led up to this moment, and they finally find closure by the end of the film, and finally team up to take down Venom and Sandman. I love that by the end of the film, Peter's arc finally closes, and he finally forgives his uncle's killer. Honestly, this film is just really good. Say what you will about Bully Maguire, say what you will about the Uncle Ben killer twist, but honestly, none of that bothers me, because I genuinely love this film. And next to Spider-Man No Way Home, it's probably one of my favourite Spider-Man films. I love how much heart, how much passion there is in this film. And this is, without a doubt, one of my all-time favourite Spider-Man films. Films have garnered such a reputation over the years for entertainment. And honestly, I think film is subjective. If you disagree with me on some of the things on this list, or all of the things on this list, that's fine. If you agree with me, that's also fine. Just remember that these are just my opinions, and you're free to write down your own opinions in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'm Harry Fleeky. Remember, you don't have to.